Welcome to Divine Table Talk. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Smith. Divine Table Talk is a safe space where people can talk about real life issues and be educated and empowered to transform lives. Today's topic is Narcissistic Abuse Day. Now, I'm very, very, very dear about it because I know how real it is, and I know how so many people are affected by it, but are ashamed or embarrassed to talk about it. World Narcissistic Abuse Day started June 1st, 2016. This day was set aside annually to educate people globally around the world about this painful epidemic. It's devastating, it's silent, and it's an emotional abuse. So today we're going to be talking about that because it does destroy people's lives. Today, I have a bold, brave, and courageous guest who's going to be talking about her toxic relationship. So hopefully she can help someone understand that this is real. A lot of times we'll hear different stories and then we'll say, okay, now I can see that's what that was, because a lot of people don't know what kind of relationship they're in until they get into those relationships or they hear people talking about it. Today, my guest is Alzonia Chalise. What a name. Beautiful name. She's going to discuss her struggles with her narcissistic marriage. So I'm going to read a little bit about her. After overcoming narcissistic abuse and surviving homelessness during the pandemic, Alonzo Chalise has transcended, I'm going to give you a new name, has transcended all odds to become an inspired, transformational speaker. She is the proud owner of Pearls and Black clothing brand. And with a bachelor's degree in accounting, she has a passion for helping victims of homelessness and abuse learn budgeting and planning skills. Her life, education, and personal experiences give her a unique perspective on how to be more productive in our personal pursuits despite obstacles. She is a tremendous inspiration because she has been able to turn her pain into power for herself and countless others. Now, I met her in San Francisco at the Women's Speaker event, Fearless Women event. And when she got up and spoke, I was just outdone. I mean, her testimony makes tears come to your eyes. And so I asked her that day, can I interview you? So many people need to hear your story, because she is one of the most courageous, strong women I've ever met. So today, she's going to be talking about that, but let me tell you a little bit about narcissists. I want people to know what a narcissist is. A narcissist is grandiose. They're very selfish. They like admiration. They want to be admired by everyone. They're very controlling. They lack empathy. They lack boundaries. They are gaslighters. They are liars, and they are cheaters. Now, this is real. I'm talking about a pathological narcissist, not just the regular narcissist. So there are different ones, but I'm talking about a pathological narcissist. So today I want to welcome my guest, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her story. And we're going to talk a little bit about questions, and then she can tell you more of what she wants to tell you. But the first question I want to ask her is when did you realize that you're in a relationship with a narcissist, and how long did it last?
Okay, so I am Alzonia Chalise, and honestly, I was married for 22 years. So I knew from the beginning there was something wrong, but I didn't know what it was called. So I never really realized that I was actually in a relationship with the narcissist until after I had filed for the divorce. And then I started to talk to people who was telling me, okay, this behavior, he's doing this because of this, he's doing that. And he initially asked me for the divorce as a means of playing mind games. He was never going to file for the divorce. He just wanted to hurt me. And so when he asked me for the divorce, I had gone through so much with him. And I said, you know, if that's what you really want, we're going to sit the kids down and we're going to tell the kids that you want a divorce. And so we did that. And he said, oh, your mom and I are going to be separated for a while. I said, no, you said divorce. So that's what we're doing. Right. And then 3 days after that, because it was during the winter break, just before New Year's, January 3rd, I went and I filed for the divorce.
Wow.
And it was after that, he was, oh, you know, I love you. I didn't want to do this. You're the one that's getting the divorce, not me. And my mother-in-law was telling me, okay, he's playing games with you because maybe the relationship he's in has failed and now he needs to fall back on you. So after that, I started learning more about narcissistic abuse, what it was, and all the signs were there.
Wow. Wow. How many children did you guys have?
6.
Okay. Okay.
I had 6 kids. And now just before we got married, I had moved in with him, and we started arguing immediately. It didn't even, the niceties or him being nice and the hoovering was all until I moved in. So that after I moved in, that's when the arguments started over little things, the mind games. He's taking me to his family for counseling because he wants me to behave a certain way. And I just was refusing to behave a certain way because I knew who I was before I got married. And his job after we got married, or after he got me to come live with him, was to change my mind and make me think less of myself, so that I could be more committed and obedient to what he wanted.
Right, absolutely. And that's what they do. So tell me, why do you think you stayed so long? Was it because you didn't even know what you were in?
No, honestly, I stayed long because I left him every year.
Okay.
You know, we were married for 22 years and I left him more than 22 times.
But that's what happens. You keep going back in that cycle until you're really healed.
I went back because my mom, I love her to death, but she's my everything. But my mom and my dad kept sending me back.
Wow.
This is the way marriage has its ups and downs. You can't always run. So I was always known to be the type of person that if we can't get along, there's no reason for me to be around.
Right.
I have no problem picking up and leaving. And he thought if he kept feeding me with babies, that would slow me down.
Right.
And I would put one on my back, one in a stroller, one walking. I didn't care.
That's
I would catch a Greyhound, a plane, anything.
Wow.
And it didn't matter what state we were in, what country we were in. We were in Germany, and I was only stuck for a few months until I found out how to catch a flight out of there, and I still left. But my mom and my dad said this is how relationships have its ups and downs. You have to be able to communicate. You have to go back and make the marriage work.
But that's because, though, I truly believe that's because of their generation. Generations back then did those kind of things. They didn't even know they were in marriages with narcissists. So they just stayed. But I'm just glad that we're knowing that generational curse has to be broken. So I
Right.
think you must have went through those three phases. You know, the first phase, the honeymoon, where the soul ties are being made, and then the second phase is devaluation, and then the third stage is discard, and then it comes right back in again like a roller coaster. Wow,
Yes, it was it
wow,
was it was quarterly. It was quarterly for
yeah,
us.
yeah,
So I would leave, and and I would, and even his dad, I loved his dad so much. So if his dad gave me advice, I would go back and try again. And regardless of what this man was doing, I found myself constantly going back to try to make
yeah,
it work. And I'm
right.
calling my mom and my dad every year, every so couple of months. I want a divorce. I want a divorce. And then
Wow.
my mom said, well, if you keep saying that, it's gonna happen. And then my dad said, you know what? He said, if you really wanted a divorce, if you really wanted to leave him, you wouldn't call me and ask me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when you're ready to leave, you'll
You
leave.
will. Right,
And
right.
I hadn't talked to my dad after that. I didn't talk to my dad for maybe 5, 6 months.
Wow.
And when I finally talked to him again, he got back in contact with me. He said, what's going on? I said, I've just been busy. I left him. I moved out. I left. You told me, and I filed for the divorce. You told me when I was ready, I would do it. So I did it.
Wow.
I didn't
So
ask
what do
for.
you think led you to that? Just the 22 years of going back and forth, you're like, I'm done. This is it.
Well, I was done well before we said I do.
Oh,
But
wow.
I
Yeah.
did it because my mom, she had been divorced for a while, and then she got married, and then she divorced again. So I didn't really know what a
Mhm.
real marriage was.
Absolutely. We
It
live
was
by
just me and
examples.
my
Yeah.
mom. Yeah.
Mhm.
So so the I was always at my final straw. I don't like men yelling at me. I don't like being overpowered. I don't like
Mhm.
them making it seem like because you said something that hurt my feelings and I'm crying, then that means I'm depressed. No, you
Right.
hurt my feelings. I'm crying for a valid reason.
That's an emotion. Yeah.
Right. And so the gaslighting,
Right.
everything I said,
Yes.
it didn't happen. He didn't say it, or I took it the wrong way, or the fake jokes, the
Mhm.
litmus test that I would have to
Yes.
always get through. So I was done, but I had the kids, for me, I would try to make it work,
Right.
as they
And we
got
all
old.
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
why a lot of people stay,
as they
either
got
for
older,
children or, yeah.
yeah, as they got older, they were like, we don't want to leave dad. We don't,
Right.
why do we have to keep leaving? Or why don't you just go and then come back? But if I knew if I would leave them, I would not see my kids again.
Right. But
So
that's what they do too. The whole time they're really gaslighting the children and
exactly.
training them and turning them against.
Yes.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's
And it
just
never
something that they
stops.
do.
They do that
Yeah.
for all the rest of their
Yep.
lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you felt like you felt any, did you suffer any mental health issues, depression, anxiety, not being sure? A lot of people don't know where they are. I mean, because really the cognitive thing really starts to just get in your head, and
Yeah.
you're confused. It
Yeah.
confuses you
I
all
suffered
the
a lot
time.
of that. I suffered a lot of that. I suffered the depression. I suffered the anxiety.
Hmm.
My blood pressure shot up.
Yeah.
My health issues were starting to deteriorate. I started having um, problems
Mhm.
with my feminine issues because he was doing his dirt,
Yep.
and I had to, and going to the doctor, getting shots, not knowing what's going on,
Right.
having
Right.
ailments, and they're saying, well, it's all in your head. That was a lot for me.
Hmm.
Anxiety and depression, and my blood pressure shot up. And I went to the doctor one time, and because he was just doing so much, just driving me insane. And I went to the doctor, and I had anxiety.
Hmm.
And the doctor told me, she said, you don't have anxiety. There's nothing wrong with you. She said, you just need to get away from your husband. She said, because he's trying to kill you. That's what she told me. And so I went back. I told him I went to the doctor, and I went back home and I went to sleep. And he came in the room and he said, "You went to the doctor?" I said, "Yes." He said, "What did she say?" I said, "She said I need to get out of my marriage because you're trying to kill me." And he was so angry.
He had a trigger.
Went to the doctor and he yelled at her so bad in the doctor's office and told her that she was trying to ruin his marriage, when all she was trying to do was make me aware.
Right. That's
I
all.
didn't know at the time that maybe I should not have told him that. I didn't know that.
Right, because you don't know. You don't know when you're going to trigger them, and the real truth triggers them. So when they get triggered, it's over. It's over.
And one other time, my blood pressure shot up so high, I could barely walk. I couldn't function. He said, "We need to go jogging. If you go jogging, then that would help with your blood pressure." So I went out thinking that he knew something, and I just literally could not run. I couldn't walk. My migraines was killing me. So finally I said, "You know what? I'm going to the hospital. I'm going to the emergency room." And I was in the emergency room, and the doctor told me in front of him, he said, "This man is trying to kill you." Two very different doctors that had no clue of each other in 2 separate months within the same year.
Wow.
And the doctor looked at him. He said, "Why would you tell her to go running if her blood pressure is shot up like that? Are you trying to kill her?"
Right.
And he said, he looked at him, and the doctor told me, he said, "This man is trying to kill you."
Wow.
Started bringing things to me like, "Look, I can't trust you anymore. I can't trust you." And so it started opening my eyes a lot more to this man being not the person that I married. He was not the person I married, that I thought I married. He was an illusion that
absolutely. They have a mask on, and when that mask comes off, it's like, woo-wee.
Yeah.
Woo-wee.
I created this illusion of him. He saw something in me that he wanted to imitate.
Of course. And with those relationships, brokenness attracts broken. We don't know that we're broken. Brokenness attracts a brokenness, and he knows, I know what I can do with her. I know I can control her. They can smell you, but now we're teaching people to smell them. That's what we're teaching people to do. So tell me, how long were you homeless? Tell me about that. What you just left and said, "I'm starting over." A lot, and I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of people stay because they don't want to lose their homes. They don't want to lose those relationships, but they don't realize they've lost their self in that. And that's why I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. I am.
Yeah, well, I had left him after 22 marriage, got the divorce because he wouldn't let me go back to school. So I went back to school. I moved clear across the states. We were
Now, where were you living at when you
were in California?
Okay.
And I moved to Virginia.
Okay.
And I went to school, went back to school. He followed me to Virginia, and the harassment kept going. So every few months, even though I was in school, he was trying to take me to court for custody of the kids that he didn't want. He just wanted the control.
That's how it is.
He tried to stop me from finishing school. I ended up finishing school, and then I moved from Virginia to North Carolina. And he found out, and so he was dragging me back to Virginia to court again and again and again. And this went on for about 4.5 years.
Wow.
So I left North Carolina. I got on the truck. I became a truck driver so that I could put my 2 kids through college. And I was making pretty good money. He found out I was on a truck, so then the harassment started even more.
Yes.
So then while I was on the truck, my mom passed away. In between that, I had took the kids to my mom for her to babysit. I was going to pay her to help her out. He went to my mom and took the kids. So then, because he had gotten married to someone else. So he used her as a basis for his home so that he can show the lawyers he has a better environment so that he could take the kids from me.
Of course.
So he took the kids, and then while I was away in Missouri, he called and said my daughter needed her hair done. So me being the person that's always done their hair, I said, okay, I will leave Missouri. I will come there, pick the girls up, do their hair, and take them back to my mom. So he said, okay, fine. I drove all the way from Missouri to Virginia to pick up my daughters. When I got there, he beat me up in front of my kids, called the cops, and had me put in jail, and said that I tried to break into his home.
You just don't know how true that is for so many people.
Right. And so
Wow.
the neighbor that was sitting out there was too afraid of him to speak up for him. So I went to jail for that day. My mom came and bailed me out. And then the lawyer told me to get back on the truck and just leave and get away from him. So I did that. And when my daughters when he took my daughters back to my mom, I picked them up and had them with me on the truck. So one of my daughters was graduating from college. I came back from Missouri, went to the college. He had then told the police that I was I was out, I was an escapee or something. I was I forget how you call it.
A fugitive?
Fugitive, yeah. He told them I was a fugitive. So they arrested me in the middle of my daughter's graduation.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so they didn't let me talk. It was very, very harsh. So I went to jail again. And then I got out within a few hours. I used my rent money to bail me out. And then after that, I got my kids, took them home, did my time, went on the truck again. He tried to set me up for where you have to see the bail bondsman every month. I forgot how that worked. So I refused to do that. So when I got back in the States again, in Virginia again, he had me arrested again. So this is a constant cycle of abuse.
I know, absolutely.
I'm telling the judge he is abusing me, and he's using the court to do so.
Absolutely.
So at the last straw, my mom passed away. She passed away, and I was so busy grieving my mom that all my defenses were down. Yeah. So while I was grieving her in North Carolina, I was working 2 jobs and going to college for my master's degree. And he was dragging me to court every other week.
I already know.
I had no car, so I had to borrow cars. Because for me, I would have just let it go, but my kids didn't want to live with him. So I had to fight. That's right. But mentally, I wasn't there. Right. So I told the judge, I said, look, Your Honor, I've been seeing you for the past how many years now, and everything I told you I was going to do, I've done. I've been working. I'm taking care of my children. He has, he can call them on the phone. They have their own phone. I'm going to school. I'm doing everything. And so he sued me for sole custody, no visitations. So I'm not on drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. There was no reason for him to win that, except that I could not fight. I didn't have the strength to fight. They
mentally drain you. And that's why it's so important for people to see this.
Right.
I have so many clients who have lost their children.
Right.
I'm telling
you. I was going through depression. I completely lost it. Like I was a zombie walking. So the judge, I told her, I stood up in court because at that point I was so tired. He was saying all this stuff about me. I wasn't able to defend myself because I'm not the type of person to defend myself. Whatever you want to say about me, just let me grab some popcorn and I'll listen to it because I probably did something fascinating that I have no clue about. And so I'm in court and I said, you know what, Your Honor, whether I lose or win, I still win. Either way, if you leave the kids with me, I win. If you take them from me, I win. He's not gonna get any more of me than he's already taken.
That's right.
So she decided to test me. She ordered that my kids be taken from me, the two babies. And the thing that was crazy about it, she didn't even come to court that day. She had another judge order it. And so when I went back to court, they ordered that he have my kids within a few days. So I walked out. I said, well, then y'all don't need anything else from me. And I left.
Took everything I had.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she said, wait, you need to get your paperwork. I said, no, I don't need anything from you.
That's right.
He can come get the kids on a day you told him to come get them. They'll be ready. And I went home and I talked to my kids. I said, let me tell you something. We are going to be strong through this. You know I love you. You know I love you. So what you're going to do, you're going to go with your dad and we're going to make the best of it. We're going to make the best of it. And I'm going to leave. So what I did when they left, I had their oldest sister pick them up, take them to her house so that he would not come near me.
Right.
And she picked them up. I cleared the house. By that time, I had lost both my jobs.
Yeah. I
had dropped out of college and I couldn't afford to pay the rent. So I had the last month's rent that I was supposed to pay and I didn't give it to them. Because if I would have given it to them, how would I sustain myself in that apartment?
Right.
And there was no reason for me to be in that apartment without my kids.
Right.
So I figured instead of paying them from $1,280 was my month rent, all the way up to $1,800, because if I'm late, I have the late fees. They were dragging me through court. My lights were turned off. I had no food in my home. And so I said, you know what? I talked to them. I said, you know what? I'm not going to pay the rent. I have the money. I'm not going to pay the rent. I'm going to take this money and I'm going to leave. So I used the money to put my things in storage. And the remainder, I had no money left. I had no money left. I bought my ticket and I had a seminar at the library. And what happened after my seminar, I met up with one of my friends from my old job. And I said, look, I'm stranded. And she said, well, where do you want to go? I said, take me to the airport, because I knew they were open 24 hours. I went to the airport and I was there for 3 days. And I just said, you know what, God, it's all on you. This is not my business. It's yours.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Not mine. So whatever you're going to do, you're going to do. I didn't tell anybody I was at the airport until finally God laid it on my heart to talk to my dad, because I wasn't even answering his calls. So finally I answered his calls and he said, where are you? And I told him. He said, where are you trying to go? I said, Dad, if you can just get me to California, get me on a plane to California, I will figure it out on the way. You just knew that's where you were supposed to go. Well, because before my mom passed away, for some reason, she told me she said, look, you've done all you can for your kids. She said, if he wants to take them from you, let him take the kids, because at the end of the day, he's still their father. He don't know what he's doing. Just let him take the kids and you get on that plane and you go to California. Wow. And you be out there in California, because my oldest daughter lives out here. She said, go out there with your oldest daughter and start your life over. She said, because you did a great job with your kids and I'm so proud of you. And this was just before she passed away. Wow. And I don't know if she knew she was sick, because she never would tell me anything like that. So I did what she told me to do. And I came to California and once I got off that plane, I had $17 in my pocket. Wow. And I had my ID because I kept my ID on me. And I had 3 changes of clothes, three outfits, like my leggings and t-shirts that I can wash. And I had nowhere to go because I didn't tell my oldest daughter that I was coming out here.
Wow.
I didn't want her to worry about me.
Right,
So
right.
I was out here. I was out here for a good maybe 4 or 5 months before I told them that I was.
Wow.
And I needed to be no contact with my ex-husband. And so I knew he would use my kids to find me.
That's right. That's right.
So I used some of the money to try to take the bus and find places, you know, that I could work. No one would hire me. And then I was getting low on my money. I found a casino. So I hid in a casino for 3 days.
Mm.
And then I was able to contact someone who was in San Diego that I could do nursing because I used to do nursing. So I used the money to get on the bus to get to San Diego. That was my last.
Mm.
And I got out here and she said, well, we're willing to hire you. You just have to get your shots. And I'm terrified of needles. So I'm sitting there thinking like, am I more fearful of being homeless or am I more fearful of needles? So the needles won. I did not get the shot. I told God, I said, if that's where you wanted me to go, I apologize. Because I just can't. Because I don't know what's in those needles. You know, and so it's really hard for me to just say here. So I was homeless. And it was like, you know, so I got on a trolley. I managed to get my way on a trolley. I rode the trolley. And then I got off the trolley and I was at a bus stop stranded. And one young lady was there with her kids. And she said, well, I take this bus here and there. So I got on the bus. She helped me. She paid my way. I found the Walmart that was open overnight.
Wow.
So I got in that Walmart and I hid in Walmart in the auto parts department.
Wow.
I slept there for 3 nights before they found me.
Wow.
Yes. And I would leave during the day, but I knew the auto department closed at 9 o'clock. So I would go back there right after they closed and I would just go to sleep.
Wow.
Yeah, and then when they found out, they kicked me out.
I'm telling you, you have a story that is, I'm telling you, a lot. Do you realize that people like this would have been on drugs? They would have been on, they would have done something. It just shows the strength, the tenacity, the resiliency that you have, that God put inside of you. I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed. I am.
Yeah.
And then I want you to tell them about your shirts and everything that you're doing, because I bought your coat, I bought your shirt. I was like, I anything I could do, because I'm telling you, your story is unreal. And look at you still smiling.
Yeah.
Not using drugs, not doing, I mean, that's nothing but God.
I'm scared of needles. I can't use drugs. I don't even know how to hold a cigarette. and I don't like to drink, because I see so many people, they drink and they're not cognizant of their mind. And I need that, because I feel every morning I have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm up at 4 o'clock, whether I end up going back to sleep or not. 4 o'clock is my morning, because that's my time to talk to the angels.
That's right. That's right. You got to have that time.
And if my mind is gone, I can't hear what God is saying.
You got that right. Now you're absolutely right.
And so I need that. I need that. And I can't take that away from myself, because he's kept me for this long, you know, and I'm holding firm to the promise. God,
that's right.
This, so I'm not going to do anything to mess up, because
and it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Look what you're doing now. Tell them, I want you to tell me about your shirt, your business.
So this is my shirt. This is Pearls and Black Defined. And it just talks about being who you are, validating yourself, being your own validation. You don't have to look for it from anybody else, because
That's right.
that comes from within. If you know who you are,
Yes.
if you
It's so
know who you
important.
are called to be, you don't ever have to live by somebody else's definition of you. You live by the definition and the version of yourself. Be who
Amen.
you are meant to be by divine right.
Amen.
Validate yourself.
Amen.
And so that's what this shirt is. I started a new clothing line. And my clothing line is geared toward, the name of it is Pearls in Black. And I'm working on a website now. And the name of the Pearls in Black, the reason for the clothing brand is to help those who have been victimized by toxic abuse. Because we don't always come out and say, hey, I'm being abused.
That's
Because
right.
we don't know. As far as we know, oh, my husband is being a jerk, or my wife is being a jerk, or they're just being so mean and controlling, or they're having their
Yes.
moment. And that's
Right.
what we don't see, that we're being abused. But once we realize it, what do we do now? Do we just keep looking up things like, yes, you are abused because of this. If your husband does this, that means you're abused. If your wife does this, that means you're abused. No, instead of doing that, we recognize that we have been abused. My point is the now what? Now that we have recognized we've been abused, now what? Where do we go from here? Do we sit here and wallow in
Right.
self-pity and just give up and say, I'm abused? No, I don't have time for that. So since we are not going to openly admit, because why? Nobody wants to believe us anyway. It's all in our head,
That's
according
right.
to everybody else, because to other people, we are being treated like gold. From the
That's right.
outward appearance, everybody thought my husband spoiled me. I
Right.
had all the name brand purses. Louis Vuitton knew me on a first name basis. Okay. They knew me. I had cars, I had RVs, I had a nice house. Everybody in my house that was old enough to drive had their own car.
Wow. And
So
that's exactly what it looks like on the
it
outside.
looked like that, but they didn't see the hell we were going through in the home. They
Absolutely.
didn't see our refrigerator being empty. They
Right.
didn't see the women that he was bringing and throwing up in my face.
Right.
They didn't see
Right.
how he was yelling at my kids and telling them, you're fat. Nobody's ever going to want you.
Yep.
You're ugly. You're garbage. You're not a man. They didn't see any of that. And we dealt with
Right.
that. So
Right.
with my clothing is designed, I have it to where I can motivate you from underneath. So if
That's
you
right.
wear my clothing, all of my clothing has something, words of inspiration on it, words to help you grow in your validation of yourself, love of yourself, recognition,
Right.
and rebuild the person you desire to be.
That's
And
right.
so that's what I've been doing. I use my experience to help others, because
That's
I
right.
know I wasn't one to say I was abused, because nobody would listen to me.
Right. Right.
Nobody would listen to me.
That's why a
Even
lot of people stay silent. Yeah.
right, even today, no one would really believe me
Right.
because I could tell you the horror stories, and then I'm still gonna smile. I'm still gonna laugh about it, because as far as I'm concerned, he didn't win.
That's right. Because you still have your mind.
I have my mind,
If he
and
would have
that was
took your mind,
unavailable.
that's right. Then
That
that's
was
what you wanted.
unavailable to him.
They come to kill, steal, and destroy. They truly do.
Right. And I refuse. My mind wasn't available. My heart wasn't available. I might cry, but I'm not going to be angry with you, because that's too much time that I have.
That's
You know,
just
that
energy
I'm
being
focusing
drained.
on you.
Absolutely.
I don't have
Absolutely.
time to focus on the things you've done to me, or the reason why you've done it to me. That's your baggage. You handle that. That's between you and your God.
That's
Okay.
right.
But as far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to say, you know what? This relationship is not for the both of us, and I'm gonna excuse myself.
That's
And
right.
it took me some years, because again, we were married for 22 years, and then I spent another 5.5 to 7 years fighting him from him dragging me through court. And the only thing that got him to stop was him taking my kids. Because
he thought he had took the last thing from you.
And honestly, he did at first, because that first night in my home, it took everything I had to keep from killing myself that night.
I know.
It took everything.
Ooh, but God.
I talked to God. I made a recording. If my kids were ever to hear that recording, they would be, oh my goodness. It took everything I had. I lost everything. But I know how to pray.
I know, that's right.
I kept holding firm onto that. And when I couldn't pray, I would sing, I would talk. And like I said, I talk to God so much, I tell people, I bet he's telling me to take a nap. Like, look, girl, I just talked to you 5 minutes ago. You might be sleepy. Take a nap, because that's how much, and that's what kept me going. That's what kept me going. And, but yeah, I have a lot of my products. I came out with this book. It's a journal planner. I think you got a journal planner too, didn't you? Yep. Yes, I love my journal planner. And this is strength in me I never knew.
Yeah, I love it.
It has like a lot of my poems, my original literary works, and I get a lot of great response for this. So
I'm gonna have to get some more for my clients too. I'm gonna have to order some, because I'm telling you, you are such an inspiration. I just know we're gonna do great things together, and just your energy, what you bring, the fight that's in you is so important to help other people know that they can fight also.
Yes, that's really, really important to me. And one of the ways I say to begin fighting is to first find yourself. And a lot of times we are afraid to leave the narcissist. We're afraid to go no contact, because they've been taking care of all the bills and they've been taking care of everything. We don't know how to do anything. And we have to
realize they do that on purpose.
They set it up that way. And
absolutely,
when I left, I had no clue how to get an apartment, I didn't know how to build. I didn't even know that the light bill and the rent was something different. I had no clue. The phone bill, I didn't know, but I learned.
That's right.
I learned. I went back to school, and it was hard for me. My first 1.5 years I was in school, I wore shades. I could not communicate with anyone without crying. I couldn't look at anyone without crying, but I made it through. And Lord have mercy, when I walked across that stage, the first thing
you giving me chills.
Look, I say, you didn't win. You didn't win. No matter what you do.
That's right. That's right.
You made me cry. You hurt me. But my mother always said, she said, you know what? You go ahead and you cry. And she said, I'll give you 10 minutes, 20 minutes tops to go ahead and cry. Then you need to take your hind parts upstairs, clean your face, put your makeup on, get dressed, and we're going to start this again. She said, I don't care if you go out, buy yourself an ice cream, dress yourself up, go to a movie. She said, no, we're not doing that. You got 20 minutes tops to feel bad. And we're going to work on moving on. And that's how I do. I said, you hurt me. That's your time frame. I gave you that. Now it's time to move on.
That's right.
Now it's time to move on.
That's right. I love it. He didn't win. That's what matters.
No. So I started my business. I love Pearls in Black. I have built my website. My website is www.alzoniachalise.com. And that will help you learn a little more about me, about my journey. And if you need coaching, I have that set up as well. I am pretty much I feel like I am a non-conventional coach because we don't have time to dwell on what happened. We just need to dwell on how we move forward. And if
How to
we're going to
heal.
work on rebuilding yourself, loving
Absolutely.
yourself, why do I deserve to be happy?
That's right.
You know, and I'm gonna set this goal, even if it's one day at a time. We're gonna
That's right.
set that goal and we're gonna go for it. We're gonna accomplish it and we're gonna celebrate it.
That's right. One step at a time.
Right.
And I'm going to make sure that I put your website at the end of this video so everybody will have it.
Yes.
And then I'm just going to say thank you for letting me interview you. And there's so much more to come. No, that's okay. I love it. But we're going to do this again. We're going to talk about different subjects. And we're going to be doing a lot of networking. We're going to be doing a lot of seminars because there's so much to be done. So
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll see you soon.
Yes, you will.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.